These nuts are driving me nuts. Welcome back to the Build It Basement. Today we are doubling down on our build for our Voron 0.1 and starting to have some fun now, seeing stuff go together. Not too much to say really to this point, nothing to go back on or ponder, or nothing I completely screwed up that I need to let you know about. I will say that the LDO kit has worked out quite well. I have found two issues so far. It's two LDO if you're watching. Two issues with the LDO kit. Number one was a bad linear rail. Where's that bad guy? Where'd I put him? Oh, I took them all apart. Yeah, right here. Bad linear rail right there. It is clunky and chunky and a little too funky. So I've taken that apart, cleaned it all up, relubed it, put it back together, pulled all the ball bearings out. I've put probably 15 to 22 mini minutes into it, so I got about 45 into it. Yeah, has issues. I'm guessing there's some bad ball bearings in there. I haven't sit there and tried to figure which is which. I'm not going to. It's not worth the time. I do have some backup rails that I got from my good friends at AliExpress. Not saying that's as good of a rail as the LDO one, but this one's at least smooth. Other than that, on the extrusions, the taps at the end of the extrusions right here, these guys, so they are a little bit shallow. I estimate that they are probably about 6 millimeters deep. They should be 8 to 10 millimeters. Not quite sure what happened there, LDO, but most of the instruction manual for the build here calls for putting 10 millimeter screws in those, along with some spacing and whatnot. You know, again, I figure they're probably about 2 or 3 millimeters too shallow for use. So, come on, fix it up. All right, let's jump back into the build and see where we get to today. So, here we are. So the one thing that people told me when I looked at this was preloading nuts, and be prepared to preload nuts, and preload more nuts than you think you need. So let's preload some nuts. This is where we were, not yesterday, the other day, last video. And again, I made a comment about I really do give major props and shout outs to the guys over there that designed this stuff at Voron. You know, the access holes they have in these things, just the ingenuity. I don't have that type of ingenuity. I can figure most anything out, but actually physically or mentally come up with an idea and then physically transform that idea, it's not my bag, but I really wish it was. I'm gonna work on that. So preload some nuts. Let's go to that's a little close, isn't it? That guy right there. Yep. Nice. All right, so what do they want us to preload for nuts here? Let's get back to that. We're working on our little bed holder here. And when I say little, I mean little. So this thing, as it sits right now, currently is maxing out at a whopping 125-ish. Well, those 100 millimeter extrusion. So yeah, this thing is tiny. Let's see, a reference everybody will realize and know: a can of Coke. There you go. Tiny, 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 tiny. So roughly the height of a can of Coke. So yeah, very small printer. So preloading nuts, again, they want us to preload some more nuts. Okay, that's still loose because I'm sure we're going to adjust that that spacing in there. So where are we preloading nuts? We're preloading nuts up here on these ends, as well as on the butt side of it. So let's go back to this manual real quick. Let's do this reel there, and one M3 nut, one M3 nut. Let's do that. 1 and 1. Having some fun, right? Boom. And number 2. Boom, right in there. All right, now what do we got here? 2. Which side is that? Which side is that? So let's see. They are holding this guy like this. So at that point, let's make sure we get this right. So we know we need 6 back here. So let's put our 6 back here. 6 on the back side. Yeah. 1, 2, 3. Number 3. Come on. Come on. 3. Slide these down a little bit. 1, 2, 3. All right, let's get 4, 5, and 6 in there. 4, 5. And 1 more for 6. Oh, I was missing a nut. Oh, and dropped a nut. And in a previous video, we talked about these nut holders. They are not necessary 100%, but they probably make the build easier. So go back on a recent video, actually one of my first videos for this build, and I got an STL file for those and some information about them. So if you need them, go get them. All right, so 6 back there, and then 2, 2, 2 is actually on this bottom side. I'm calling this the bottom because it has the screws on there. So 2 in here, 2 on this bottom rail, and I'm just going to do it like 1 on one side, 1 on the other, and bada boom, bada bing. There you go. Close enough for government work, right? Should we get that all actually? Let's see here. 1 there, 1 there. Yep, yep. And 2 there, 3, 6. Yep. All right, good. Moving along. So now we pulled back our Z frame here. Let's see here. I got my Z frame, and they magically have theirs floating up here. Mine doesn't magically float up that way, but it will if I do this. Yep. Oh, huh? Look at that. It's all about perspective, folks. All right, and we're sliding this into there. And I'm wondering a couple things. First things first, and it's probably gonna be gone over, but I would bet, yep, two of those are gonna be used. So let's go this right here. Yep. So 2 of the 6 nuts we inserted on the back side here are going to be used for each of these. So basically, hole here, hole here, hole here, and no hole? Maybe hole. Hole in there. That's, yep, that's reachable. Not the easiest to reach, but reachable. Yeah. So, hey, while I'm doing this video and while I'm doing this, 2 things. One is one is, if you like this type of content and you want to see more of it, go ahead and subscribe and like this video, and go ahead and hit the notification button. If you like this video and hit notification and subscribe to all those things, that make sure that more people will actually see this video. This is how YouTube works. All right, so back to this. I guess one more thing too. I said 2 things, right? So the other thing is I had somebody comment recently that I should pre-build everything, then tear it apart, and then put it back together on video, so I look like I know what I'm doing. First things first, I have no clue what I'm doing. I admit that. I am clueless. I am one of the dumbest people I know sitting in this chair right now. So I don't want to do that. If I did that, then it'd be like all the other videos out there. I'm not gonna name names, but people that put together videos every week of a new printer they're putting together, and they've put together 5, 10 of them, and 5 of those 10 were all the same types of printers. That's great. You know, if you like watching people put together printers because they know what they're doing and the camera angles don't really show you what they're doing, you do that. If you want to see what the chances are that I'm going to mess something up and then see what you might do and what you might mess up and how to fix it, this is what you want. So, all right. So let's see here. Back to the show, I guess, right? We're putting these in here. How do they expect us to line these nuts up? This is odd. I'm kind of worried about this. I'm worried about this. Yeah. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to pre-line these things up a little bit. Like I said before, I'm a little worried. So before we move too far, I'm going to grab an M3 screw. Well, I guess first things first. There you go. I'm going to see if we can get that. There we go. I'm gonna grab a long M3, an M3 by 20. Oh, M3 by 40, even better. All right, so let's see if we're catching that first screw. And the answer is hell no. Hell no, we're not catching that first screw. All right. Why aren't we catching that first screw? And can we actually use these nut holders for this? Close. Very, very close. Better. Yep. Very, very close. So what can happen when you're using these? So what can happen when you're using these guys here is they do have a decent amount of plastic on either end, and that amount of plastic stops you from getting them too close to each other. It also may stop you from getting them to where you need them. Well, I think what's happening specifically with this right here, because my screw hole is all the way back here, is I don't think I'm able to put my nut further enough over to actually catch that. So I have spares of these, so I'm gonna trim one down real quick. So we're just gonna nip at it a little bit here. And there's probably somebody with a different file that fits these differently, but let's try that first. And then, of course, a nut fell out. But again, like I said in the previous videos, these nut holders are literally just to hold the nut. There's no mechanical meaning behind them. And you know, just make things easier on us. I'm also can't do that because I got those nuts in there now. Alright, so let's see if that lines up a little bit better. Get that. Ooh, it feels. Yes, yes, yes. Feels like it does because it does. That lines up. So on these far end pieces, these, come on. Right. On these nut holders on the ends of this. So specifically, keep that camera. This guy over here and this guy over here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and trim these ends off. Try not to take so much off that I lose the nut, but enough off so that I can get in close enough. You actually use these on the ends. I'm going to put that just in there so it should fit. I'm going to hold this right side up. We haven't even tried to align the other screw holes yet, right? So, fun will continue when we do that. This is an interesting. Yep, that one catches too. Perfect. So we know those are on the very ends. Okay. So next one in is, let's see here. We have that one, and then we have the next one, which will be there. These are not easy to align. I won't call it a design flaw in the project, but this is a pain. So what we're trying to have here is basically our two connection points. There we go. Our two connection points, and then still have our two nuts in the middle to be available to us for use. So that one's not going in yet, but the good thing about that one is I can see it a little bit. So let's try to poke it over just a little. Nope. Try a little bit more. I think, zoom in here. I think because of the width of these, I got the two in the middle here. I think because of the width of these might need to just be flush. At least I'm hoping for that. Maybe that's a good indicator of the spacing on these. And the answer is no. No, no, no. That did not work. So how far off are we? We are off by very little. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull these back so I know they're going to be exposed out. That. Because we know our end ones are good right now. These ends are good. We just need to get the other ones ready to go. So now I can see all of them. Let's go to this camera. So I can see all four of the ones in the back, the two that are going to be exposed no matter what, and then the two that are supposed to be actually attaching to these ABS plates, the carriers here on the back side. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to slowly slide these over until I can catch the screw in them, and that's what I'm going to call it good. So let's see. Let's put a screw in here. I can see the nut, and it's pretty close. It should be almost flush to that when I can start to grab that. So let's see if that's going to do it. Nope. I know we're close. So let's go a little bit further. Actually, am I grabbing right now? I am. Okay. Am I? That's weird. It feels odd. And it goes bottoming out, but okay. And then we'll get the other one about the same position because they are all the same size and the spacing should be equal on these. And there we, yep, right there. So that should be good. And this isn't even part of this step, but I know for a fact from building a Voron before, again, I'm not a pro, but I know from building a Voron before that a lot of times there are things that are asked of you to do that don't necessarily line up with what you're going to be doing right then and there. So let's get those front screws in. We're looking for some M3x8s, so I will grab a couple of M3x8s. I can find my M3x8s. There they are. Okay. And we'll put these guys right in. Actually, we haven't adjusted these ones yet, have we? Let's see. I can see that this one is peeking out. and we need to pull him in a little bit. Yep. And then this one is not far enough over. Pull him over just a little bit. This could be a her. I'm calling it a him. You choose what you want to call yours. So that's that. All right. Before I do that, put a little handy dandy paste on there. Grab that. Tiny bit like that. Put that one in. A little bit of a torque, and then we'll grab the other. Whoop. And put that one in right here. There we go. And again, remember, plastic against metal. You don't need to go too tight. Tight enough. However many newtons. Couldn't tell you. Somebody probably could though. It's a good use of Discord. But let's see here. We're now going to put the bottom screws in, which... Wait a second. Man, there it is. All right, so just like I said in the other part of the video here, if you want to see somebody that makes mistakes and what not to do, I'm your guy, and that's what I did. The thing is flipped upside down. So when you're putting this together, and this is a dumb mistake, but you know what? 90% of mistakes are dumb mistakes. Bottom facing me. Bottom is this, okay? And this is going to be like that. Now, one more thing that bothers me. Okay. Before I go too far here. There's nothing I need to do. Okay, so I didn't have this tightened up right now because no place did they give you a measurement on where they want that to be. But your measurement pretty much is fitting here, because you got about maybe 2.5 millimeters of play in there. But now that we have those nuts in there, I also can't get to those screws. So I went to we're at square one, but I'm gonna slide these back over like so. And do they give me the opportunity? Yes, they do. To tighten this up once it's on there. Okay, so I believe that's going to work. Let me double check to make sure here. Yep. So something I don't show you, and again, back to that ingenious thing that I talked about, and I've been talking about the guys that put these manuals together. Once you have this, probably as an intermediary step before you get to the page that we're currently on, is if you put your bed holder on your Z-axis rails, there are two holes, one on either side here, that allow you to get into your rails. This helps you align exactly where your bed's going to be on this back rail. So if you align that up, let me switch back to this. Once you align that up, you can actually get in there and tighten these up. Like so. And give them one last finagle here. Let's see here. I think I have an Allen wrench that is better than another. Yep, right here. All right, and then this one. Perfect. Okay, So yeah, so that allows you to put that together and space it out properly. And of course, our side nuts here are completely off now, but we know that we can slide those back to the middle and then work them as we need them. All right. So now all we got to do is make sure that our nuts on either side here line up properly. Relatively easy. And then that leaves us here. Okay. And then our bottom nuts too also need to line up. Now these are, again, may need to be chewed up a little bit based on what I'm seeing here for alignment. I don't know if we're gonna get close. So let's grab that M3x30 again. M3x30 and see where we're at. Not catching. So I think we're gonna have to take a little nibbin off of there. So let's take a little bit off of that one as well. I'll actually slide that in. Now you could sand these if you want, but precision really doesn't matter much with this. And you know, if I don't need to put more ABS particle in the air, I'm not going to. Look at that one and pull this one. So oh, that nut actually spun. That's weird. Oh no, it's a piece of plastic in it. There we go. All right, so let's put those close to the edge as well. We had to with the other ones. And let's see how close we are now. Too far over now. All right, push it back a little bit. All right, so that's right there. What I'm going to do is use that to slide it where I want it. Make sure we're in there still. Yep, there we go. I know that one's where I want it. Okay, pull that out. That. The other one in. There we go. And then once we get where we want, I'll push that over. Close to where we're going to have it. All right. Now we can finally put these both back together. And let's see here. Go back to putting our M3x8s. Yep, up there. Those are 8. M3x8 on the top. I'm not going to over tighten them yet. And then on this bottom side, another couple M3x8s. Sticky paste. Go. All right, and last but not least, right there. All right. All right, so where does that leave us? That leaves us, let's see here, we got that. We need to put the ones in the back. Okay, so we now Need to turn this over and get to the screws that go into this back area right here. Those are the ones that we lined up a few minutes ago. Go to this view right here. I'm gonna line this in a way that makes sense for everybody to see. All right, so these are all M3 by 12, so I will grab myself a few of them. Put back my by 40 there. All right, by 12s. So let's get the easy ones first. And the easy ones are gonna be all the ones except for the ones that are where the chain is, because it's gonna be hard. First, look at that. And the second is going to be this guy right here. You have to push over, slide over a little bit. I'm trying to make it so my hand doesn't jerk too far. I wanna too far, because this is one of those things where it's easier to go one way than the other. Yep, those things where it's easier to go forward than backwards. Perfect on that one. All right, got that. So this side is tight. Second side, that I'm worried about. So first things first. First things first. That over. Slide that over a little bit. Let's see if we can get this first screw in. Right here. Yep, we got that. 1,000. Now the other one. I have no idea how I get the screw in there. I think I'll get the screw in there, but I have no idea if I'll be able to. Try. Go right here. And yep, we can wiggle it right in. And kudos to the guys. I don't think there's any gals, but if there was, kudos to the guys and girls that get this done, because ain't too shabby. All right, here we go. Ooh, see there. He's a little tight. No, not as bad as I thought it was, but that is a little tight. If there's any tramming in here that we're going to do next, let me see. Screen with bench. We'll go there. All right, so that's what we just did. Let's see, preload. Make sure that the two pillar nuts located in the center. Make sure we still have those. Those guys are there. Perfect. That's all rigid and ready. Oh, right here, tramming. Perfect. All right. Check for any binding or snags while moving the bed carrier up and down on the rails. The bed carrier must be able to move freely along the entire length of the rail. If it does not, which mine does not, loosen the blind joints of the extrusion that hold the right rail. You'll need to remove the rail stopper on the right extrusion to access the screw. Move the bed carrier along the entire length and progressively tighten the blind joint. It should not bind. Loosen the blind joints again and retry. It may take a couple of attempts. Okay, and that's what we're going to do. All right, so first things first, go there. Gotta take our stopper here off. Do we? We're going to have to eventually. I actually didn't have to go off this other end. Back on. We'll put this one back on. I can see my blind joint screw hole right there, so no concerns on that. All right. And we gotta loosen this guy up. Loosen it just a little bit. Not catching here. There we go. Screws are, I won't say they're cheap, but even a little cheap. Another way around it, right? Alright, so what we should be able to do at this point is move this back and forth. This is relatively loose. Move it back and forth. It should kind of find its own place. So what I'm trying to do now is basically we're utilizing our bed holder as a guide where these rails should be. And I mean, not thrilled with how that feels, but I don't know. I don't know that some of it doesn't have to do with just the rails themselves. So let's line this up. So get this side in first. About that, we'll get this side in first. And I'm holding the unit up while I'm also pushing down. And I'm pushing down because I want this rail to stay flush at the top and bottom. Doesn't feel exactly right to me, but I get an idea here in a second. Hitting these back up. I think it's probably as good as those are going to get. So our next step, or what I'm going to attempt to do, I can't guarantee it's the right thing to do. I mean, it's not jamming up or anything, but it should free fall, I would think, just with the weight of the mechanism out there. So let's put this back on here on the end. And I'm going to loosen up. I'm going to loosen up a few of these. My confidence in some of this LDO stuff is kind of shifting. Basically what we're looking for is that these rails act like they're all by themselves. They're not counter to each other. They're not doing a push-pull type thing. They're not a push-pull configuration. Listen up a little bit more. I loosen these up so much because I can't have the heads above. Getting better above the rail. So let's see. Okay. Oh yeah. There we go. All right. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to hold this up here. I'm going to tighten up this one. I'm going to slide to the other end. Make sure this is where it wants to be. And then tighten up this one over here. And it's happening again, so I have to think that these rails are in some way, shape, or form a little bit out of whack. So let's do this. Let's bring it up halfways. Clean up this one, about 3/4. Run a little bit. Take it to the top. Clean up this one about 3/4. All right, come back down here. Clean up this one about 3/4. And back up to here. 3/4 again. Now we have to go ahead and tighten these all up, start from the center out. And if that still is a little not as smooth as I'd like it, I'll tell you what the problem probably is, and I'm not going to be able to fix it during this build because it's going to take a lot to fix it. Okay, so what's probably happening here in actuality is the extrusions right here. These extrusions possibly have a little bit of an arch to them or bend to them, and when I tighten down these slides, what happens is they kind of bind themselves to whatever that is. You know, those are aluminum, but that's steel, but those also have a lot more surface, so it's going to allow that to bend a little bit. You know, trying to shim it out would be near impossible. Honestly, this is going to have a screw driving this up and down, so I think we're going to be fine. It would be nice to be able to see it just go drop real quick, but I think we're okay. It's not bad. It's not actually binding to the extent that it would stop it from working, so we'll call that good. All right, now we're going to do some more frame. We're removing the uprights. Extrusions were temporarily attached to help with trimming. Okay, so now we're going to detach them. Fun. Okay, I didn't know that we were temporarily attaching these. Probably not tighten them as much. Okay. Do I take them both off? Why do we gotta take them both off? What are we doing here? Loading nuts. Putting on those ends. Oh, we're going to rebuy them. Okay, we'll take them both off. Who might ask? Of course we gotta take them both off. 3/4 of a turn to a turn on that to loosen it up. Dang, these LDO tools they gave me. I would say the worst things so far in the kit probably are the tools. They only have to be good enough to put one printer together. Alright, so I can set those aside. Put this back. Okay, and then how are we looking at this? They're showing this with a large gap on the top. So we're looking like this. Let's see, do we get that? Yep. So we're looking at like this. The large gap up here, bed down, and then they want us to preload. They want us to spin us around, and then preload 6 M3s in the top here, and 1 M3 in the back. So let's get that done. 6 in the top. One. 2. So one note, if you are using these carriages, do make sure there's nut in them. We've had a couple where the nuts had fallen out of them, and it hasn't caught me yet, but I could definitely see where you could get one of these in, not realize it was missing the nut, and then a few steps later trying to put things together, and your preloaded nut is actually a preloaded piece of plastic with nothing in it. So be mindful of that. There. No idea where these are going to go eventually, so we'll just space them out here a little bit. There, all right. And then one in the back. One in the back. Come on, there we go. And there we go. Back to the screen. So one in the back, 6 in the top. This. 6 in the top, 1 in the back, and remove uprights. We did that. And then Z-axis, preload 6 nuts in the very bottom now. So we're looking at this now from, make sure from the right perspective here. Yep, that's definitely the bottom, and we're talking about the very bottom here. So down right there, we're looking at 6 M3s into that. Slight hassle I'm having right now is that my screws there on the end there are kind of jabbing up above where these slide in, so yeah, temporarily we'll put that right back in once we get these in. So we gotta get 6 in there in total. That's 3. There's 4. Five. And lucky number 6. Drag these off. Again, I'm not sure where they're going to be, so we'll just space them out a little bit. Okay. So we got that. 6 nuts there. Now we're on to the majority of the frame. All right. Well, in order not to make these videos too long, I'm going to cut it off there for the day. I do want to go back to this real quick and talk about what we have so far. You know, we have our Z, we have our rails. We have our extrusions to make this H pattern here. We did take the ends off. We have been preloading nuts left and right, and I will leave a link again for the STL file for those nut holders. Stop them from sliding out. I cannot imagine, I don't know how else I can say this. Let me see here. I cannot imagine any way that you'd be able to put these nuts in here and have them not sliding around on you, unless you put maybe a piece of tape on the ends or something. But I would definitely seek out a way of putting these in and have them hold their ground as opposed to sliding around, because it may be near impossible. So yeah, there's that. So last but not least, if you haven't subscribed, please do so. Go ahead and hit that like button if you like this type of content. Not only does it help me, but it helps others find the content. I'm the small guy in the block, so I do appreciate it. If you have a question or a comment, do leave one down below. To date, I've answered every single comment, usually within one day, so it's good. If you're interested in doing a live stream as opposed to these live build streams, I'm up for that too. Just let me know. If I get enough people asking for that, we'll do them. We can chat while I'm building. I don't tend to get as much done, and I don't get a lot done anyway, so it's kind of a huge time suck, but it's fun to do. So let me know, and I will check you out next time, and we'll move forward. Thanks.